Excellencies, honorable ministers, distinguished delegates, distinguished guests, on behalf of the government of Rwanda, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to Kigali for the Africa Water and Sanitation Systems Leadership Symposium. Welcome to Kigali. I think a lot of good things have been said and have been discussed. And please allow me not to repeat them. Allow me to discuss this very important issue from probably a different angle. But before I say I do that, I once again to hope that alongside the important work ahead of us this week, I hope that we have an opportunity to experience the warmth of Rwanda and the hospitality of our people. 4 years from now, we arrive at 2030. And by every honest measure, we remain far from achieving our sustainable development goal for water and sanitation. Across Africa, 418 million people still lack basic water services. 779 million lack basic sanitation, and 839 million lack basic hygiene. Those numbers should concern us deeply, not because Africa has lacked effort or investment, but because, despite the progress we have made, the scale of the challenge remains immense. Across our continent, significant investment have been made. Pipes have been laid, boreholes have been drilled, and the treatment plants have been constructed and commissioned. Yet, today, a great many of these infrastructures are not effectively delivering the services for which they were designed. The lesson is clear. Building infrastructure is important, but to a large extent, it is only the beginning. Ensuring that the built infrastructure functions effectively and reaches communities over the long term is the real measure of success. This brings us to the central question before us this week. How do we translate investment into reliable and lasting services? The answer lies in stronger institutions, effective governance, sustainable financing, and accountable leadership. Leadership underpinned by the political commitment to ensure that every system we build continues to serve our people. And this is the leadership challenge before us, and it is precisely why this symposium matters. It is in this context that in February of this year, the African Union's General Assembly endorsed the Africa Water Vision and Policy 2063, which laid out in no uncertain words that governance and leadership are not accompaniments to a water-secure Africa, but rather the precondition for one. I'd go even further and say that they're also the answer to the question everyone in this sector eventually asks, the question of which and where does the money come from? The African Union's own panel on water investment found that better governance alone, that is, sound tariffs, honest collection, and disciplined financial management can unlock around $11.5 billion a year on this continent. Domestic resources mobilization, done properly, can unlock another $17.5 billion. Set against that, and while foreign partnership is important, but we see that foreign assistance is a modest line in the accounts. This goes to show that Africa's water future can and should be paid for by Africans. But we need to remember, capital, wherever it comes from, it goes where it is safe. It goes towards institutions that keep honest books and do what they say they will do. So therefore, as we go through this week, I think we should not be misguided into repeating the same old conversations around where money will come from. Rather, we should think about how we build the kind of institutions that money wants to find. This, admittedly, is a harder conversation than building infrastructure because it involves uncomfortable questions around who gets accountable when systems fail and whether the people running those systems have both the skill and the incentive to keep them running. But ultimately, as leaders and stewards of our communities, this hard work is our responsibility to the citizens that we serve. Rwanda comes to this forum with the same humility and openness that we ask of all of us gathered here. Our own reforms are still underway and still incomplete. Our non-revenue water is higher than we would like it to be. By the way, I must confess that I find the term non-revenue water rather too gentle for the problem it describes. In my view, there's nothing non-revenue about water that has been treated and pumped, but never reaches the people it is meant to serve. That's a real loss of resources, and more importantly, a loss of service to our citizens. Again, talking about our systems, our rural services model, including the involvement of private operators, are still finding their feet. And we know that these are precisely the challenges that require honest leadership and practical solutions. We share these realities deliberately because we believe that this is a forum for honest exchange. What Rwanda can contribute is our experience around what has worked, what has not, and what we are still trying to figure out. And we come ready to learn from the experience of others in this room. At the end of the week, we will walk away with a set of commitments embodied in the Kigali Communique on systems transformation for the realization of the Africa Water Vision and Policy 2063. I encourage all of you, ministers, regulators, utility leaders, mayors, financiers, civil society organizations, and young professionals to make this document and to yours truly. Make the commitments clear enough and specific enough that someone can hold us to them when we meet again. But I also encourage us to imagine success beyond the document itself. The real test of this week will not be what we sign here in Kigali, but what changes when we return home in the institutions that we lead, in the decisions that we make, and ultimately in the quality, the reliability, and sustainability of the water and sanitation services that our people receive. Importantly, as also emphasized by our colleague minister from Senegal, let this conversation not end on Friday. Let us carry it to Abu Dhabi in December. Let us arrive not only with needs to present, but with solutions to offer, commitments to make, and a clear vision of the future that we want to build. So once again, I welcome you all in Kigali. I wish you very fruitful discussions, and on behalf of the President of the Republic of Rwanda, I'm happy to declare this symposium open. I thank you.